Imagine suing a dangerous billionaire for $1 billion, winning the case, and then ending up locked inside a remote island prison under his total control. That is exactly the situation Rachel finds herself in. The man standing over her is Salazar, a ruthless cartel boss who hides his illegal empire behind shell companies and offshore accounts. He tells Rachel that if her firm doesn't back off, he's going to start mailing her body parts back to her office. But Rachel doesn't look scared. She looks like a woman who is exactly where she wants to be. To understand how this brilliant lawyer ended up in a tropical prison, we have to rewind 3 months. 3 months earlier, a high-stakes asset management firm called Spencer Goldstein had a massive problem. They loaned Salazar $1 billion, and Salazar simply decided he wasn't going to pay it back. The firm sent in their best fixer, a veteran named Braxton, to secure Salazar's final signature on a repayment agreement. Braxton is a total professional, but Salazar's head of security, a ruthless man named Olsson, has other plans. Following his boss's orders, Olsson murders Braxton in the car. Salazar gets to keep his money, and Spencer Goldstein loses their best man. This brings us to Rachel. Rachel isn't the kind of lawyer who files paperwork and waits in a courtroom. She is a hunter. Braxton was her mentor, the man who taught her everything she knows. And Rachel is here to settle the score. She storms into the office of Bobby, the executive who blindly sent Braxton to his death, and confronts her for not warning him about how dangerous Salazar truly was. Rachel offers Bobby a deal. She will personally hunt down Salazar and recover the stolen $1 billion. If she dies, the firm takes zero blame. But since she is taking all the risk, Rachel demands 20% of the recovered funds. Bobby pushes back hard, and the two women enter a tense negotiation. Eventually, Rachel agrees to take 10%, but demands $10 million paid up front. Out of options, Bobby agrees. The hunt is officially on. Rachel knows you can't just sue a man like Salazar. He operates under hundreds of fake names and hides his cash across the globe. To crush him, she needs to hit him from two sides simultaneously: legal pressure in the courts and illegal sabotage in the streets. For the illegal side, she brings in the only two men she trusts with her life. First is Sid, a master infiltrator and problem solver. Second is Bronco, her heavy muscle and tactical expert. The first stop is the office of William, Salazar's personal attorney. William is the architect of Salazar's fake empire, meaning he knows exactly where the bodies are buried. Rachel and Bronco walk in pretending to be wealthy clients, but William instantly sees through their disguise and signals his security guard. Without breaking a sweat, Bronco looks the guard dead in the eyes. He calmly explains that the guard can either stand quietly or make a move and end up being sponged off the office walls for the next 6 hours. The guard wisely chooses to freeze. Rachel informs William that she is coming for the $1 billion, drops her phone number on his desk, and walks out. It is a pure intimidation play. But more importantly, it was a distraction. During the standoff, Bronco secretly planted a tiny listening bug inside one of the shiny awards hanging on William's wall. Now, they can hear every panicked phone call William makes. With eyes on the lawyer, Rachel unleashes her team on Salazar's global cash flow. Sid travels to Saudi Arabia, where Salazar is building a massive, lucrative hotel. Sid discovers a critical flaw. The hotel is being built at 150,000 square feet, but they only have permits for 130,000. Sid anonymously tips off the local authorities. The government immediately halts construction, slapping Salazar with a crushing $4 million weekly penalty. But the financial bleeding is just getting started. Out on the ocean, Bronco and a teammate named Baker target a massive 200,000-ton oil rig owned by Salazar. Using a tiny fuse, they completely sabotage the rig's operations. Just like that, Salazar starts losing $500,000 every single day. Back in Saudi Arabia, Sid sets his sights on Salazar's supply chain. He intentionally crashes his car into the vehicle of a port superintendent to force an introduction. Once he has the man's attention, Sid shows him $25,000 in cold hard cash, offering the man a full year's salary for 6 weeks of dirty work. The bribe works perfectly. The superintendent claims there is a paperwork error and impounds 20,000 tons of Salazar's steel. Without materials, 2,000 construction workers are forced to sit idle, still collecting full pay, while Salazar's empire burns money. Unaware of who is attacking him, a furious Salazar demands answers from William. William explains that Rachel is behind the sabotage, and her legal failsafes make killing her impossible. If she dies, 20 prepaid lawyers are waiting to drag the lawsuit out forever. William tries to calm his boss down by assuring him that Rachel can't do any real damage. He claims Salazar's truly valuable assets are perfectly hidden by a phantom accountant named Wolfgang, a man nobody can find. But thanks to the hidden bug in William's office, Rachel's team hears every word. They now have their target, Wolfgang. To steal Wolfgang's secrets, Sid infiltrates a high society party in Jeddah. He sits at a backgammon table and begins destroying every opponent using a pair of loaded dice. But here's the genius part. Every time Sid wins, he publicly refuses to take the prize money. This bizarre behavior catches the attention of Wolfgang himself. Driven by ego, Wolfgang challenges Sid to a game. Sid beats the accountant and once again refuses the cash. He promises to let Wolfgang repay him with a rematch. When they play a second time, Sid purposely loses. To settle his debt for losing, Sid hands Wolfgang a gift, a highly unique, esoteric sculpture. Wolfgang loves it, but the sculpture is actually a technological Trojan horse. Hidden inside is a camera and a passive Tempest attack device, which invisibly steals data from nearby computers without needing a physical connection. Within hours, Rachel has every single document proving Salazar owns the illegal shell companies. Armed with the evidence, Rachel storms the courts and begins legally freezing Salazar's assets. Panicking, William calls Rachel and offers $200 million to walk away. She rejects it. He raises it to $300 million. Rachel tells him she will only speak to Salazar directly, face to face, on his heavily guarded private island. Walking onto a cartel boss's private island is a death wish, so Rachel's crew arrives early to rig the entire environment to their advantage. Deep in the most remote corner of the island, the team stashes an insane arsenal. An ambulance, canoes, a police car, 3 dirt bikes, ATVs, and heavy weaponry ranging from assault rifles to a grenade launcher. They map out 3 distinct evacuation routes. Because the local police are secretly on Salazar's payroll, the team needs to know the layout of the island prison. To get inside, Sid intentionally gets blackout drunk and makes a huge scene on the street. The corrupt cops lock him up for the night. From his cell, Sid maps out every security camera, counts the weapons, and notes the guard patrols. Meanwhile, his team sneaks around outside and plants remote engine killers under all the police cruisers. Next, they need access to Salazar's luxury hotel. Bronco stages a dramatic, fake heart attack in the middle of the lobby. During the chaos, he skillfully pickpockets the hotel manager's master skeleton key. Under the cover of a temporary camera blackout caused by their hacker, Gucci, Bronco, and Sid slip into Salazar's private penthouse and wire the entire room with hidden microphones. The trap is perfectly set. To force Salazar to the negotiating table, Rachel makes it personal. Through the courts, she legally seizes his prized private jet and his luxury yacht. Humiliated that he can't even fly in his own plane, Salazar agrees to meet. Right before the meeting, Sid hands Rachel a special watch equipped with a panic button that broadcasts her exact GPS location. With Bronco and Sid tracking her every move, Rachel takes the elevator up to the penthouse. Inside the suite, Salazar tries to intimidate her. He offers $400 million, warning her that her legal attacks have reached their absolute limit. He tells her to take the money and walk away quietly. Instead of looking scared, Rachel casually asks the staff for a beer. This is a pre-arranged secret code. Downstairs in the cafe, Salazar's armed thugs begin to multiply, completely unaware that Rachel's tactical team has already surrounded them. Bronco calmly draws his pistol, threads on a silencer, and opens fire. In a matter of seconds, Rachel's crew silently eliminates 14 of Salazar's men in the cafe. By ordering a hit on her during a negotiation, Salazar just gave Rachel the ultimate legal weapon, an emergency court injunction. Using the stolen data from Wolfgang's computer, Rachel's legal team ruthlessly slaughters Salazar's empire. They shut down his $1.1 billion chemical plant. They seize his $800 million telecom company. They freeze a corporate account holding $385 million in cash. Completely backed into a corner, Salazar begs for a second meeting. He tries to offer $800 million, but Rachel shuts him down. She threatens to expose the exact locations of all his dead victims to the criminal investors he works with, which would cost him over $5 billion. Beaten at his own game, Salazar finally agrees to pay the full $1 billion. In a final act of cruelty, Salazar quietly orders his security chief, Olsson, to execute his lawyer William for knowing too much and doing nothing useful. Outside, Rachel calls Bobby at Spencer Goldstein, telling her the money is secured and to legally release Salazar's plane and yacht immediately. Bobby's phone rings to confirm the payment. The job is done. Which brings us back to the present day. It has been 3 months, and Spencer Goldstein never paid Rachel her $10 million. While on vacation in the desert, a mysterious car pulls up to her tent. She finds her bodyguard dead at the other tent. Before Salazar's assassin, Olsson, can grab her, Rachel slams the panic button on her watch. Bronco and Sid rush to confront Bobby in New York. They demand to know why Rachel is being hunted. Bobby arrogantly reveals the truth. After getting the $1 billion, Spencer Goldstein betrayed Rachel. They kept Salazar's jet and yacht to use as leverage for their own shady deals and refused to pay Rachel, leaving her exposed to Salazar's revenge. Using the GPS tracker in Rachel's watch, Bronco and Sid locate her inside the corrupt island police station. Dressed in stolen police uniforms, the two men confidently walk right through the front door. They casually aim their weapons at the desk sergeants, disarm them, and steal their assault rifles. Moving with terrifying efficiency, they lock the corrupt guards inside their own jail cells and pull Rachel out. When reinforcements arrive, a massive shootout erupts. To escape, their teammate Baker plants explosives on the exterior prison wall and blows a massive hole straight through the concrete. The team sprints through the rubble into the street. Dozens of police cruisers accelerate to chase them down, but Sid simply hits a button on a remote. The engine killers they planted months ago activate, completely paralyzing the police fleet in the middle of the street. The crew races toward their hidden gyrocopters for an airborne escape. But Salazar's men launch a militarized drone into the sky. The drone drops a high-explosive bomb directly onto the aircraft, blowing them to pieces and tragically killing their pilot, Dune. Surrounded and outgunned, Sid pulls out a heavy grenade launcher and blasts their way out. The team immediately pivots to their backup plan, the western route. Speeding away on dirt bikes and an escape car, they are hotly pursued by Salazar's heavily armed hitmen. To lose them, they intentionally lead the enemy vehicles deep into a banana plantation. The bikers perfectly loop around the trees, flanking the enemy cars from behind. Bronco jumps out and attempts to trigger a massive mechanical pit trap they built months ago. The rusty crank arm jams. With the cars screaming toward him, Bronco violently forces the lever. The ground opens up, instantly swallowing the enemy vehicles. The survivors finally reach their fortified villa, but Olsson is right above them in a heavily armed helicopter. On the ground, the team blows up a pursuing car with a hidden landmine, but they are completely surrounded by foot soldiers. The only way out is a tunnel at the back of the property. But to stop the enemy from following them, someone has to stay behind and destroy the villa. Baker volunteers. Over the radio, Bronco orders Baker to evacuate, but it's too late. The enemies are breaching the walls. Knowing it's the only way to save Rachel, Baker fills the house with blinding smoke, ignores Bronco's final command, and triggers the explosives. He sacrifices himself, detonating the entire building and burying the enemy assault team under a mountain of flaming rubble. The explosion buys them precious seconds. Rachel, Bronco, and Sid sprint out of the tunnel and arrive at the edge of a terrifying 300-foot-deep ravine. Using a zipline they rigged months ago, Rachel flies across the gap. Sid lays down brutal, suppressing fire, drops the approaching guards, and rides the line across. Once across, they cut the lines, making it physically impossible for the ground troops to follow them. They mount hidden ATVs and make a desperate dash for the harbor, but Olsson is still hunting them from the sky. He flies his helicopter terrifyingly low, dropping live grenades directly onto their path. Desperate for cover, the team swerves inside an abandoned warehouse. Bronco reaches into his stash, pulls out a shoulder-fired missile launcher, and aims out the window. He fires a rocket straight into the sky, obliterating Olsson's helicopter in a massive ball of fire. With the skies clear, Rachel reaches the docks and escapes the island on a waiting boat. Days later, she confidently walks back into the Spencer Goldstein offices in New York to collect her massive paycheck. Sitting across the desk, Bobby acts completely relaxed. She arrogantly tells Rachel that there is nothing to worry about because Salazar has mysteriously vanished. But Rachel knows a secret. Salazar didn't just vanish. After Rachel escaped the island, Bronco and Sid stayed behind. They hunted Salazar down, sedated him, and strapped him to a medical ventilator. Using the chaos of the island, they wheeled him right out the front doors of his own hotel, threw him into an ambulance, and smuggled him off the island inside a shipping container. They didn't kill him. They shipped him directly to Miami, straight into the waiting arms of the FBI. Rachel looks Bobby dead in the eyes and delivers the final checkmate. She reveals that Salazar is currently in federal custody, and to save himself, he is handing over the evidence of every illegal transaction Spencer Goldstein ever helped him hide. Because Bobby was the executive in charge of the account, all the legal blame for the cartel's money laundering is about to crash down directly on her head. Having completely destroyed her enemies and secured her $10 million paycheck, Rachel Wilde stands up, walks out the door, and leaves the corrupt executive to face the wrath of the federal government alone. Well, that's the end of this story. My name is Sid, and how did you like this recap? Let me know in the comments below.